In this session, we'll talk about personal requirements, facility and equipment, subcontracting. And just I have to remind you with two issues. Number one, whenever we will say shall or must, it means must, something which is a mandatory and we have to implement. Without implementing this, it will be non-conformity. And whenever we will say should, or it means recommendation. So this is something which is recommended by the standard to be implemented. However, if you will not implement, it doesn't mean that you will get non-conformity, but it kind of, you have to just make justification for the assessor. Then either we'll say may or could, it means possibility or capability or something like option if you want to do or not. This first point, second point, remember that we are talking about inspection, so we will focus more in personal rather than equipment, which the subject of 17025. This standard will more focus on equipment and facilities, but in this standard we'll focus on more on the personal because we depend mainly on the personal and the competence of people. So in this session, we'll talk about personal, facility and equipment and subcontracting. So we'll start with personal, and we must have a competent requirement. We have to define what are the competence requirements. And whenever we'll say competence requirements, it doesn't mean only training or education, but it will be a combination between education, training, experience, skills, and knowledge. So you have to define all of this for each employee. So either it will be separate competence matrix, for example, or it could be part of the job description. You must have a sufficient number of personal competent person who can cover your activity and make clear for each person of them their duties, the responsibility, the authority, and you must have a documented procedure for selection or training, formal authorization, monitoring of the inspectors. So this procedure must cover the induction period and must cover the details of training activity and the training need and the training plan which you will conduct. Remember that the training need usually it will be depend on the qualification, the experience, the results of monitoring. Based on that, you will define your training needs and you have to define methodology for monitoring of the performance of the people. So this monitoring shall be implemented by competent personnel who is familiar with the inspection method and procedure. This monitoring also for your inspectors or for your staff can be observation, just observation, could be on-site observation, could be report, could be review the report, review the records, conduct interview with people, conduct kind of simulated inspections or any other techniques. However, according to the result of monitoring, you have to take action, either recommendation for training or some other actions, and this must be recorded. Remember that also all personnel, they have to work and they have to keep or maintain the impartiality, and confidential information must be kept as confidential for all personnel, either your staff or subcontractor. Then for facilities and equipment, you must have suitable equipment, suitable facilities, and facilities, it means something like the environmental conditions and all of this. So you must have also rules for access to your facilities and how this will be used. And you must have also, or you shall have identification, unique identification for all equipment that you have, and maintenance procedure and calibration plan, calibration program for your equipment. This calibration must be done before use this equipment, and according to a program, you must have a calibration program. It means could be cover the full year, and this calibration you have to conduct via a subcontractor or agent who is competent. Maybe the evidence of competence in this situation, it will be ISO 17025 accreditation for calibration lab. Calibration alone is not enough. You must have internal check, which we can call them as intermediate checks for your equipment. You must have also a procedure for selection and approval of suppliers and verification of incoming goods and services and ensuring appropriate storage facility. If you have a computer or automated equipment, then you have to record the calibration, required maintenance for this computer, or for this equipment, and you must have updated software, adequate software which is suitable for you, and procedure how you maintain this software, how you have limited access to this computer, and what kind of maintenance that you will conduct, in addition to the validation of any calculation that you will use. Even if it will be Excel, then you have to validate these calculations and conduct revalidation on regular basis to make sure still updated and suitable. Any defective equipment, we must deal with this defective equipment and segregate and remove this from service, put a label or mark on this defective equipment, this something out of the service, check the effect of defects on previous inspection, take appropriate action regarding to maintenance or replace this equipment or whatever that you will do, and you must have a procedure to explain all of this. For subcontracting, you have to ensure competence of some subcontractor, and you must maintain evidence for conformity with requirements. If you will use subcontractor for any reason, then you have to inform the client, and responsibility for the determination of conformity still remain with you as an inspection body. So you have to take the action, you have to take the decision at end of the inspection process, and it will not be accepted that your subcontractor will take the final decision, which will be sent to the client. In clause 7, we will talk about process requirements. So for process requirements, we are going to talk about inspection methods and procedures, handling inspection items and sample, inspection record, inspection reports, and inspection certificates. Then finally, we are going to talk about customer complaint and appeal. And definitely there is a difference between complaint and appeal. So an inspection method and procedure must be defined and must cover the requirements. And if not defined, if you don't have this inspection method or procedure, then you have to develop your specific method and procedure to be used. If non-standard, shall be appropriate and fully documented, and you have to inform client if this standard or if this inspection method inappropriate, not suitable for use, then you have to inform the customer, because actually this is a responsibility of the customer to define what the inspection method that you will follow. If he will not define, then you will do. But if he will define inappropriate method, then you have to inform him this is inappropriate method. Inspection method and procedure must be adequate documented, instructions on inspection, planning, and sampling. So if you have any type of sampling, then in this situation, you must have a knowledge about statistical technique that you will follow. Observations or data obtained shall be recorded on time and updated document, and check if there is any calculation as output of the sampling. So you have to validate this calculation. Then handling inspection item and samples. In this slide or in this clause, we are going to talk about the identification of sample. You must have a unique identification in order to avoid any kind of confusion, and establish the requirement for uh, preparation of this sample or inspection item, and documented procedure to avoid any deterioration for this inspected item, or for this sample, as this item under your responsibility. In case of observing or notice any abnormality, then immediately you have to inform the client. You have to consult him. Shall we continue or not? And record this abnormality or this deviation. And whenever we are going to talk about records, then you have to maintain your records. I'm talking about record, not the inspection or final report, because there is additional record which will be generated during your process. So these records must be maintained and must be traceable to the inspector who conducted this inspection. Then we are going to talk about the inspection report and inspection certificates. In this situation, that all information that will be recorded in the final inspection report or certificate shall be reported correctly and accurately and clearly. And if there is any corrections or amendment, then we have to find the record for this correction and justification for this correction. The final report shall include at least this minimum requirements. Two dates. First one, it will be date of the issue for this certificate or final report. Second date, it will be date of inspection. In addition that, we have to record identification of issuing body. It means your organization, your inspection body name and address, and all of these details. Identification of the item inspected. So definition and description for this inspected items, and the result of this inspection with statement of conformity where applicable, and signature for the approval or for the authorized personnel. This is the minimum again. So it means we can add more information based on what? Based on your procedure, based on customer requirement, based on legal requirements, based on accreditation requirements. You can add more, or you have to add more information. Then finally, we are going to talk about complaint and appeal, and you have to deal with each one, either complaint and or appeal. You must have a process or procedure to describe the receiving of complaint or appeal, validating, investigation. How will you conduct the investigation? Who will take the action? Who will take the decision? How will you have kind of tracking for records? How will you record the action? Who will be responsible for investigation? Who will be responsible for the action? And please give a knowledge of receipt that of the complaint to the customer, and give him a notice at end of the investigation with the results, that this is the result of the analysis and this is the actions that we have taken. Uh, I have mentioned that there is a difference between complaint and appeal, and just to make sure you can differentiate between complaint and appeal. So complaint will be related to the system. So for example, delay in the inspection report, lack of cooperation, lack of coordination, poor communication, all of these kinds of complaint. But whenever the client will talk about the result of the inspection, it means appeal. This is not a complaint, this is appeal, because he is talking in this situation about the result, the scope, the aim, the objective of your process. Hopefully it was clear explanation. And this was last slide in our presentation today. And this is time of receiving question and any required clarification.